I enjoyed the flashback and of course the explanation about the evil businessman Gato, but I really enjoyed the end. Kakashi's about to go in.
Naruto, number 11, going ashore.
And so the plot thickens. Boy, I'm really loving this. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim here to bring you another review on the awesomely woven, intricately constructed tale of Naruto. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with really a number of things happening, but really kind of the end of it being that someone else is being sent off of this other fellow that's supposed to be this big badass, and he is going to be coming after now to obviously to perform the hit on Tazuna. So that's kind of how things left off. We didn't find out exactly what was going on or why they were attacked by these Oni brothers. All we know is that it's definitely not a good thing. So that's, of course, where we left off. We pick up shortly after that. Naruto goes and his hand is bleeding, and Kakashi goes and he says, you just needed to open it a little bit to let it bleed. You opened it up too much, and now you're just gushing blood. You lose too much blood. You can legitimately die. And Naruto's like, I don't want to die. What the hell? And he take a look at it. So Kakashi looks at it and he's like, what the hell? It's almost healed, right? And he goes and Naruto's like, oh, okay, hope it's okay. He looks so serious. And really this serves as the point where we find out that Naruto obviously has a faster rate of regeneration or healing, and he says it's because of the nine tail, the essence or the soul of the nine tail demon fox that's within him. So it is kind of cool to see Naruto obviously can heal quicker, or at least it appears that way. And he's talking to himself about how Sasuke's not going to get the better of him this time and everything else. And then it's kind of cool because we go and we see that they're actually on this small boat, and that they're going through the mist, and that they're going towards some area. We don't really know at this point, but it winds up Tazuna winds up deciding to finally, not finally, but to decide to come clean with him. I should say finally though, because he brought him out on this mission, and they didn't know it was life or death and everything else. But so he goes into this flashback and he explains that he, of course, is a bridge builder, that the land of the waves where he's at, obviously being an island nation, there's only certain, routes in and out as far as for trade. And this very evil businessman, this billionaire, Gato, of Gato Shipping and Receiving or something like that, he's supposed to be like the richest man in the world. He came into the Land of Waves about a year ago, and pretty much what he does is he's ruthless. He uses like gangs and shinobi and stuff like that to go and, kill the people that he needs to in charge, the ones he probably can't put on his payroll. And I guess within that short period of time, that year, he pretty much took over everything as far as the shipping and receiving, anything that comes in or out of this land, which really kind of keeps everybody under his iron fist. He can charge whatever prices he wants. We all know, obviously, that's why, at least here in the States, that's why, well, technically, monopolies are supposed to be outlawed as far as just one company being the only one that can give a particular product or service. There has to be a competitive marketplace, otherwise you could just charge people whatever the hell you wanted, So it is kind of a neat thing to see that and to hear about that and his whole backdrop. The whole idea, though, is that Tazuna is working on creating, and he's a bridge builder. He's building this bridge. He's the architect for this bridge that's actually going to bridge between the Land of Waves and the mainland. Now, Gato, that's why he's sending people after him to kill him, because obviously if he's going to go and create something that's going to create another route for shipping, for trade and what have you, he's not going to be able to keep everything the way he wants it. And supposedly brings in drugs and all this other type of stuff. So basically just the worst form of human being to begin with, just a devil in a suit, because then they show a picture of him, and he was actually in the end of the last chapter, and he was the one talking about they paid good money for the hit and everything else. So he's this evil sort of businessman, So then they go and they're like, well, okay, Kakashi's like, that's fine, but why did you go? This is not a sea-level deal here, you know what I mean? Had you went and given all this information, would have gotten better ninjas, would have more elite, there would have been a more elite squad, right? And he says, listen, I don't have a whole lot of money, And the bottom line is I couldn't pay for like an elite squad for a higher up mission, so I pretty much lied to get whatever I could get. And you know, I hope you guys don't leave me right now because otherwise then he goes into this whole guilt trip about his daughter and grandson. It's just devastating and everything else. And it's really kind of funny because Kakashi's just like, oh God, fine, whatever, we'll stay with you. And he's just like to himself, he's just like, this is like the worst for hire mission ever, right? Because they're not even getting paid what they should be. They're way above their pay grade in the mission wise. I just thought the whole setup was great. So it then goes and comes out of that flashback, and they're all on this boat, and this person that's cruising them in through this mist or whatever, they go and they see this partially constructed bridge, and it's huge. They've come to the area, to his village, to his area, you know, and they're about to, I guess, get close to dock. He explains that he's going to take the boatmaster, whoever it is that's taking them in, is explaining obviously to be quiet. He says from this point in, we got to, you know, just paddle in and, you know, turn off motors and stuff like that, which I didn't even know that they had. But anyway, you know, because you picture ninja, you don't picture them having like, you know, just having like an outboard motor, but obviously they have some form of motor. Nonetheless, as they're going through the mist and being told to be quiet, you know, he says that he's going to take them in this secret way and go in through these mangroves, and in between these mangroves, and kind of land on this, you know, more or less taking the inconspicuous kind of secret route in, you know. So that's what they wind up doing. So they wind up going through, and they land, and as they get off, you know, everybody gets off. Of course, Tazuna and you know, Sasuke, Sakura, Naruto, and Kakashi, you know, this person bids farewell to him and, you know, takes off. So as they're going, Naruto's going and thinking to himself, he's like, all right, man, I'm not going to drop the ball again. You know, he's all amped up, right? You know, he just drank like 4 cups of coffee, an energy drink, and snorted a line of coke. You know, he's ready to go, okay? He's just, you know, and he wants to just do well. He wants to prove. And number one, he doesn't want Sasuke to be better than him and to outshine him again. But really, he wants to prove himself and everything else. So it's great because he's like looking around, he's like, you know, just looking like, you know, squirrel. You know, but, and as they're walking along, he goes, I saw something over there, and I mean, he throws one of his shuriken, you know, and and Kakashi's like, listen, dude, those aren't toys, man. You got to calm down with those things, because everybody else is like, you're crazy. There was nothing there, right? And of course, Sakura uses the opportunity to, you're an idiot, or whatever she says, you know, just punch her right in her head. Anyways, but that's a story for another time. So, because so far to me, she hasn't really shown any use, but she's there, so whatever. So then he goes and they're walking along and whatnot, and he, you know, again to another thing. He's like, I know I saw someone this time, right? And they're like, there's no one there, you know. They wind up going over and seeing that it was actually a bunny, you know, a rabbit. And Kakashi's looking at this place, oh, you know, and then they're thinking, oh, poor bunny, right? And then it's cool though because Kakashi goes and he knows that something's amiss, right? And he goes and he says, no, it's springtime and that's a winter rabbit, but it has its winter coat on, which means it must have been kept inside. And he goes through this whole quick thing about how basically, so that must be a decoy, right? The thing was just a decoy to go and get them looking in different ways, maybe to see how attentive they were. I'm not really sure. So it's really kind of cool to go and see that whole thing. And then you go and you see from the actual, you know, the trees or the bushes or whatever, you see this other ninja, this demon of the mist, right? That's chilling there. So he goes and he's kind of sitting up in the tree and looking over them, and he notices and he identifies Kakashi, obviously, as this great elite ninja from the Konoha village, or Konohagakure, village of the leaves, village hidden in the leaves. And then the chapter ends up shortly after that because he goes and he comes, you know, jumping out of the tree looking all cool and kind of stoic, actually just standing up over there, you know. And then Kakashi goes and he even says, he's like, well, if isn't it Momochi Zabuza, the kid who ran off and left the land of mist? And Naruto's ready to go. He's like, ready, set, go. And Kakashi goes and holds him back and he's like, just stand back, give me some room over here, okay? Don't interfere. He goes, this is one that's on a different plane from our previous opponents, you know. And he's like, and if I have to face him, it had better be like this. This may be a little rough. And I thought this was great, man. He goes and old one-eyed Kakashi, he's going to go and he's going to pull that shit off and we're going to see what's underneath there. Who knows? Is it a glass eye? Is it a scar? Is it no eye? Who knows what's going on? But I thought it was very, very cool. So that is how the chapter ends up. And my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is really ultimately, I kind of like the whole backdrop and this whole thing about this evil businessman Gato and everything else and whatnot. But what are your thoughts so far on this first character that has been introduced, this demon of the mist, as he touts himself? Do you like the character design? And of course, no spoilers. I mean, if he winds up being this main character, the strong character, I don't know any of that stuff, so bear with me here. From what you've read so far, or if you're a person who is far into the series and caught up, At this point, when you were reading it, try to think back and try to think, did you think this character was a cool design character? Do you think it was going to be formidable? Or do you really think that Kakashi was just going to go and take his headband off and just mess some shit up, right, with little to no resistance? Let me know your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Are you afraid of Godzilla, tight spaces, or your mother being devoured by a giant man-eating titan? If you answered yes to any of these questions, go over and check out my Instagram or Facebook page.